Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this April the 29th, 2025 nightly cryptocurrency daily update. And in most cases, as we've been doing the last couple of months, couple of updates a day if I can, and I try to make that happen. But we've had a lot of volatility recently in the cryptocurrency market. We've had a lot of volatility, especially in the altcoins. And we went over Bitcoin and these major coins earlier, but let's briefly look at Bitcoin. We've been very transparent, very loud, and very consistent that we believe we're in this head and shoulders, topping out reversal pattern. I think I need to use that. No, it's the other one, really. What is it? Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. We've been very consistent and very transparent that we believe we are in this head and shoulders topping out reversal pattern right here, where you can clearly see a left shoulder, you can clearly see the head, and then the following right shoulder. And we're going to bring out our industry exclusive perching tool. And this might be a longer video, so just bear with me here. Got the left shoulder, the neckline. We went over this ever since we were sitting here, riding up the second mountain double top, top one, mid-December from the Donald Trump pump. Donald Trump, bam, pump. Consolidation, double top right in here, early to mid-January. Vincenzo drew this pattern out with the left shoulder, the head that was developing, and then the right shoulder, right? And now we've been trading down the head. We had our major double bottom at the 74,169, just above it. And then we targeted with the rally very loudly, very consistently, very transparently that when we double bottomed off of this, you can see it in the 4 hourly, the daily, it's only three candles. So it's very hard. It's not well defined. Uh, it kind of is because you had bottom one right here. And yeah, so you can see it in the daily time frame. Bam, bottom, bottom, pump. And we said look at the videos from 2 weeks ago on a Thursday and Friday leading into the weekend. We had pump advisory, pump warning. We thought we could get as high as about the $90,000 level, but somewhere in between the 200-day moving average that was overhead and falling at the time, a bearish cross, a golden cross, where the 50 was underneath, I believe. Maybe it didn't do a golden cross yet. It was attempting to do a golden cross. Correct. It was attempting to do it. But we had the bearish cross and we thought we could get up to around the $90,000. We squeaked above it, but like we've been saying for several days here with this rally, we have that up, see that up and sideways consolidation, kind of like a hangman. And look at the volume, the opposite way of what we would want, right? When we have these up and sideways consolidations, it often tells you with falling volume that the price is going to get is starting or becoming or is exhausted and there's going to be a reversal, and I do believe there's going to be a reversal. Could you pump up out of this and come all the way up into here, this 100,000 to retesting the old double top all-time highs? Yes, but I feel like we're going to come back down, and this is nothing more than just a bigger version of that self-proclaimed and made dinosaur pattern, right? See that? Got sort of the shell in the head. Looks like a dinosaur with the conveyor belt. And these are bearish reversal patterns, right? And they always come down. And I'm thinking that this is still, and I've been loud and I've been consistent. I believe this is still going to come down. You can see that daily volume down there, but it's going to be very critical over the next couple of days to see exactly what happens here. We've been attempting to reverse here in the shorter time frame, 4 hour time frame, even the daily to some extent. We sort of have this Bart Simpson top. And if we come down, our first area that we're going to come down to is we might overshoot the 90,000 and change major support level, hit that 100-day moving average, and then trade along it for a few days. And then if you can't hold it and then confirm it as a breakdown, you're going to fall all the way back down to that 74,000 very, very quickly. If you break out to the upside, which I would put out of a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being 100% and 0 being a 0% chance, I would put it at breaking out to the upside at about a eh, roughly a 2 and 3/4, 2.75 out of 10, maybe 3.25 out of 10, right? But a technical target would be up here. It'd be all the way up there. Oh wait, I don't think we're looking at that. Seems a bit drastic. That's not what I think I'm looking at. No, not that high. That's not where the target would be. It would be a very high target though, right? You'd go from the top. Yeah, that's too high. to the neckline, right where you're at, which is about there. It would be a 24% move, so it would be a substantial move, all the way up to a new all-time high, and all the way up there to 118,000, just below where we've had a target up there for quite some time. Uh, if we do and when we do break the all-time high. So we're going to lower it to that about 119,000 and change. But I think there's about a 6.25% chance out of 10 that we break back down to the downside, but it's going to be very critical, and we're going to pay attention for it over the next several days. The same thing what we talked about Ethereum. It's the same type of deal. We're at the top part of this blue resistance support box, and you can see we've been getting resisted as we've been tracking up with the wicks right there. But again, we have an up and sideways consolidation in the daily after a pump with falling volumes. That's the same thing, often a sign that the price is going to turn around. But we're going to continue to follow this because on the turnaround, we come all the way down to at first a local double bottom and then maybe trade up a little bit. And eventually maybe come all the way down to $1,012. On the flip side, if we can hold this and we actually break bullish, you'd be looking at an upside target of the 200-day moving average up here, which is right at the last consolidation before the big dump took place. We'd be looking at an upside target of $2,495, right? So that's something we're going to be paying attention for with the Ethereum. If we scroll the XLM, we talked extensively. And actually, this is a good time to talk about this. You can see the 50-day moving average just started to move up. And what we were talking about earlier in the daily, as we're running up against this major upper resistance, which is the 100-day moving average, something that we talked about with the first mover advantage in the XLM, just like we did with the aforementioned Ethereum and Bitcoin. And what we're going to talk about after the XRP, we got short to medium term bearish right here, just after the 63-cent local runoff Trump induced hysteria high. And then we were short to medium term bearish, and we started putting these targets down. We said we would have a bearish cross, just like the XLRP, just like the Ethereum, and just like the Bitcoin and the rest of these coins. Back here, bearish cross, check. Then we had the golden bearish cross where the 50, the short term moving average, moves underneath the long term moving average, right? The 200, and it did. Then we were trading and said we were coming down to 25 cents, and you had to listen to me on the videos for about 2 months, starting back here all the way down, that we were going to come down to that 25.5 cents, the blue major support zone. We weren't counting this wick. Also, that was down where the 200-day moving average. Again, we were calling to come down to it, but we said we would trade on it. Then when we came down to it and we have this little rally right here, we said it was going to break down, come down to a double bottom, and then if it broke it, which I thought it would shoot all the way down to the next support level, followed by what we have in purple there, a pretty significant rally off the 18 cents to 19-cent level. It wicked down there and decided to have the big rally, because you can see that rally from trough to peak, from the wick low, if you got it, to the wick high, if you got out, 48%, right? So it's a very big move, but you can see it got rejected exactly where we drew this. Remember, if you watch any of the videos, that purple was drawn up there when the price was doing this, right? So we were predicting a future move, and that future move almost played out to beautifully to perfection, right? And then we've been talking about the last couple of days of a potential with the volume decreasing and the price continuing to go up and sideways, that if it got rejected there and you failed to hold the 50-day moving average in the daily time frame, you would quickly come back down to that 25 cents. And then you would have to have your big decision point. Are you going to hold this as major support like it's done for the better part of 6 months? Or are you going to confirm it as resistance, trade below it, and then trade all the way down on full candle bodies and maybe slightly below it for a few days, all the way down to this 18-cent level again, which is a pretty significant fall on your way down to the 14 cents, which then we're potentially in the long range forecast looking at a potential massive swing trade accumulation zone, big money moving, big profit taking, big exchange of money from the unwise and the unsmart money to the smart money, right? We're already lining this up for you, just like we've lined this whole move to the downside. Uh, this is something that we're going to be paying attention to in the first stage here over the next day or two now, is do we hold that 50-day moving average at about 27 cents? If we don't, we know we're coming down to 25.5 cents, followed by maybe a small bounce, and then more than likely a quick collapse down to that 18 3/4 cents. But it's something that we're going to be watching. Another first mover advantage you got us to draw here at Vincenzo's Gold Crypto Investing, this head and shoulders topping out reversal pattern that we did back there in the purple zone. We've been very consistent and loud about what's going on. We have not hit our target yet. We've come down to $1.62, $1.61 on a wick. We have a $1.26 to $1.29 target. We were at the neckline. We bounced like we thought we would down here off the wick. We said we would trade back up because we thought the 200-day moving average would be, let's make this bigger. The major, still don't want to buy you, would have been the major support level, which it turned out to be in the daily time frame. You can see it traded there for a few days. And then when we were there, we said we're going to have to come retest the neckline, which is this purple horizontal at 209. And if it got rejected for a classic hook nose bearish reversal pattern, uh, you would do something like that. We got initially rejected, traded below it for a few days and had a big pump, and then we went up and sideways with falling volume. I mean, look at that. I think this too is going to break down. Could we still come up to 255? Yes, but I think it's more likely that we trade down and retest the neckline, followed by a couple of days of indecision and then a bigger move down to our local double bottom of $1.61. I still believe these coins, the bear market or the downtrend or the bearish sentiment and retracement and consolidation isn't over yet. We're going to continue to follow it though, but I feel very confident that this is the area that we're in. If we look at LCX, Jabroni Killer members, $3.99 a month, help support the channel. You can see where you get truth, trust, education, and information is merely and as simple, just like our channel, J 60 or 88 degree. No, J. We are in the great state of Michigan, just north of downtown Detroit with a current official temperature of 83 degrees, Jay. And just as easy or even easier than old Jay getting the temperature update, if you want to become a member of Jabroni Killers, if you want to get the first mover advantage and stay on top of this market with somebody that you can trust, that builds confidence with his truth, trust, education, and information that has as at the forefront, and the reason he does this channel, he does it for the retail trader. He looks out for the retail investor. He looks out for you and me because that's what we are, the retail trader and investor. Nobody's out there doing that. We made it $3.99 a month, the cheapest to support any channel on any kind of page, any kind of market, and on YouTube for a best value. For the information and education and trust and truth, most importantly, for the retail trader, hit that Jabroni Killer member. If you're using it from the YouTube app. Hit Jabroni Killers, $3.99 a month, cheapest and best value and easiest way to support the channel. Somebody looking out for you, just like I was looking out for my Jabroni Killer member, because when you're a member of Jabroni Killers and you comment, I talk about what you want to see on a daily basis. Try to get it in my next video. And we were been talking about LCX on this most recent pump. We said we could get as high as this major resistance level in orange there, which is the bottom part of that orange resistance box. But we said if we couldn't do that after this hyper wick and we traded back down, you would come back down to the 14 cents. And that would be your decision point. Just like we talked about the XLM, the XRP, just like we talked about the Bitcoin and the Ethereum decision points. It's on its decision point right now. And what it needs to do now is hold this, get the momentum, get the buyers back in if you want to remain bullish and have a ferocious pump in a short amount of time, all the way back up to the 22 cents, a major resistance level. If you fail to hold this level and you start to slip it, you're going to start using it as resistance and you're going to have a pretty big and pretty quick fall to the downside, potentially all the way back down to where this initial move started over there at about 10, 11 cents. It looks like, let me zoom out. Yeah. Over there, just above that yellow trading area at 0.09, we were at about 10 cents. You would trade very quickly back down there. And this is a critical area and it's on decision point for LCX. So we're going to continue to follow that because Jabroni Killer member wants to follow it. Oxeon is another one I believe somebody wanted, and you can see this one had that ferocious pump that we followed, and I feel covered it very, very good and beautifully because it hit resistance points and held support zones that we were looking at to move to the next resistance point. And if we move these moving averages, we got to put them back in the correct area. The 100-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, and the 100-day moving average is over here. And you can see we bounced off that 0.00 bottom part of that purple trading zone and had a ferocious rally. And during the start of the rally, we said this would be your major upper resistance to start, this 0.015 cents. And if you get out of it and break above it, your next area that you would look at is the 0.20 and change, the bottom part of the lighter purple trading zone. And you can see it got wicked down, held support just above the darker purple top part trading zone, pumped back up, touched it, and got rejected again. And we've been following this the last couple of days, saying with this rejection here, what could happen now and what should happen is you fall all the way back down fairly quickly to this 0.01504 top part of the dark purple support box, and that would be your decision point. Just like or LCX, that it's on decision point, that's your decision point, because if you fail to hold that, you would trade all the way back down here in a blink of an eye, right? It would give that whole move back uh, if you fail to hold that. So that's something that we're going to pay attention to over the next several days in XCN. If we look at a little bit of a Shiba Inu, because I had Shiba Inu on here and I always forget to do it. So we're going to look at the Shiba Inu, and you can see it's on its decision point. We have it's sitting right on exactly the 50-day moving average, got rejected beautifully by the 100-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average is safely up there. You can see we've been on a big bear trend for quite some time here on Shiba Inu after getting rejected just below our mountain double top from April of 2024 and just below the COVID-induced hysteria all-time high at about, I believe that was an all-time high. And then you can see now we've come down again. Right. And this is a critical area that you're on. You need to hold this 50-day moving average. You need to hold the top part of this purple trading zone. And if you do, you would have an upside initial target of 1636 or the 200-day moving average, all the way up to the bottom part of this blue trading zone at 2013, right? Those would be your areas that you would look at. But if you fail to hold this critical area because you're on your D-date decision point critical trading time, you would come all the way back down to the bottom part of this red trading zone, right? So it's a very critical time in a lot of these coins. We're going to continue to give you the best and most accurate and informational update that we can, and keep you out ahead of the sphere with the trust, the truth, the education, and the information. Peace and love. The Rock's eyebrow. Jay.